Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How we doing today? Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Force here, of course, going to be casting a game for you today between Empire Kaz and Mouse's Naama. So Naama versus Kaz, Terran versus Terran here on Lost Temple. Nice cross positions here. This is going to allow for somewhat safe and comfortable expanding. Going to be interested to see if either player takes advantage of the high ground to try to deny expansion of their opponent. Also just going to be interested in the general build that we're going to be seeing from either player. The TVT matchup is quite an interesting one, if you do ask me. It's really interesting because the dynamics work out so that you can really use almost every single unit in the Terran arsenal in this TVT matchup. Nothing is really off limits. You can open with Banshee, you can open with some sort of a bio push, Marine Hellion drops, that's something that's also popular. Obviously Tank Viking, kind of the staple, the backbone of the TVT matchup as it progresses in the later part of the game. But even with that said, even someone going Tank Viking, depending on positions and depending on how effective you are at avoiding Vikings, just dropping bio for stim drops and taking out buildings, that can be equally as effective. So yeah, really interesting matchup already right off the gate. Seeing a little deviation between the two players. Empire Kaz is opening up with the barracks, but over here inside of Naama's base we are seeing that refinery first, so obviously looking to get the gas first, and then that barracks will be coming just about now. There we go, barracks being dropped for Naama, also moving out with his SCV scout at the time. So clearly, in getting that refinery first, he is going to be ahead in Vespian, and that's going to allow him to drop his factory first and probably allow him to tech up harder as well. And over here inside of Kaz's base, we are actually seeing a late refinery. So I'm actually really excited here. I haven't pre-screened this game at all, and this is kind of a big difference between these two players. Empire Kaz getting a refinery much later than typical. In fact, still no refinery has dropped yet, and then seeing a very early refinery from Naama. So going to be interesting to see how these two strategies work for either player, and we may be seeing a quick expansion from Kaz. In fact, that is very likely to be the case, and in fact I'm just going to say it right now. We will be seeing a fast expansion from Kaz, and he's going to be having to use something like bunkers at the front wall to try to defend himself from any early pushes. I would be concerned about something like early Banshees, so hopefully Kaz also gets an engineering base so we can drop some turrets as well, because Cloak Banshees could very well ruin his day. But that fast expansion is coming. It's coming. There we go. So actually there was that SCV scout from Naama, so Kaz hiding his SCV and then dropping the expansion. Clearly he doesn't want Naama to know exactly what's going on, and inside of Naama's base, as said earlier, that early refinery allowed him to get that factory right away as soon as that barracks was finished, and then likely going to be seeing a starport as well. You can see about when that factory's finished, he's going to be sitting just above that 100 Vespian, so probably going to be dropping that starport right after that factory finishes. So this is going to be very interesting. Kaz just now getting his refinery, still isn't up. Here's a second barracks coming out for him, and again an engineering bay probably wouldn't hurt, probably wouldn't be the worst of ideas. And obviously the idea here is that in getting this fast expansion, as it is the case with anyone fast expanding, if he can protect it, if he can allow it to get saturated, then he will have a gigantic advantage over his opponent. But Naama in the meantime is going to want to try to do some damage. We can see that tech lab going down on that factory. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little hot swap there as well. Marine's going to be chasing down Kaz's barracks, but no, going to be repelled by these two Marines moving forward, shooting that Marine, and that Marine does drop without getting a shot off. And actually a little surprised there that Naama didn't even try to do some damage to the Marine, because now two full health Marines are going to be charging up the ramp here. One Marine at the edges actually might be able to manage to kill that Marine very, very close. He's going to target fire that first, but pulling him to the back, exactly what he wants to do. Want that healthy Marine right up front and do what damage we can, but no, second Marine coming out and target fire that low one. There we go. And this last Marine is going to be repelled right now from Kaz, trying to get him from the high ground, but no, actually stopping there at the top of the ramp. There we go, moving on down. Is he going to get a shot off? No, he won't. And a Hellion moving out right now, and this is very, very dangerous. Naama is in actually a really strong position with this. Do we have any bunkers coming down? No, we do not. We have another, there's that factory coming down, so two refineries right now for Kaz, but we do have a Hellion moving forward, and if he'd managed to catch wind of this expansion, this could be very, very dangerous for Kaz. Nice little Marine line right there, going to prevent that Hellion from doing too much damage to the Marines since they're not clustered up in one big group, and actually repelling that Hellion right now. So at this point, Naama's fairly certain he hasn't, oh yes he did actually see that expansion, so he is well aware of the fact that that is there, and now he's going to make his decision. deciding at this point as to what he should be doing next, and his next decision is to drop an expansion himself. And there we go, coming down with that bunker as well. And are we seeing anything in particular for tech? Are there any Banshees? Yes, there is one Banshee on the board, and here we go, Banshee moving out, going to be doing what it can to harass. Now we don't have Cloak on the way, so he won't be able to fully take advantage of that. And there's a bunker coming down as well for Kaz, and there we go, we do have missile turrets going up, so that should help defend against much harassment from this Banshee. Going to try to take out a couple SCVs, Marines moving down, going to prevent that from happening to its full effectiveness. The thing to realize, however, is that Banshee does have that range upgrade as opposed to the Marine. You can see the Marine right there with a range of 5, and there is our Banshee with a range of 6. So when properly microed, you can actually just stay away from the Marines, especially with something like the high ground here, and he's probably going to be abusing that fact as he is doing right now. I mean, he's clearly abusing the fact that he is outranging the Marines. Now, again, something else to realize is that when air units shoot, you are visible from the high ground, so the Marines can see it. But again, if he takes advantage of that range, he should be A-okay. Now that the turret up, it's going to make pushing in a little bit more difficult, and actually probably going to repel that Banshee right now. Might just be chilling there for the time being, though. One Marine's going to be moving out, trying to grab the Xel'Naga Tower. However, we do have this Hellion here. Hellion should get a couple shots off. There's one shot, and come on, 2 shots, and one more shot I think should do it, or maybe 2 more. There we go. So one more shot. Go. No. Pushed back by this big ball of Marines right here, and please move, Naama. Are you paying enough attention? Yes, you are. Does manage to move it out of the way. Second Banshee on the way right now for Naama. Now, inside of his base, we can see that expansion is up. We do have a tank up as well. Do we have siege mode coming? Yes, we do. So just relying right now on this 1-1-1 build, and it's going to be pretty effective because of the versatility, but very Marine heavy is going to make any Banshee pushes very difficult, as well as the fact that we do have this Viking on the board and might be catching that Banshee in transit, but no, Banshee does manage to escape unseen from that Viking. The Viking will be turning around, though, as soon as Kaz sees it in his base. So couple shots going down right now, killing off the SCV that was building that barracks, delaying that production just a little bit. Here we go, seeing that turnaround right now of that Viking, and we're seeing the Marines push up as well. Yes, we are. Big Marine push. Viking coming down, and that Banshee is a goner. No chance for him now. Couple more shots from that Viking, and that is the end of the game. Wonder if he's going to be trying to tail it back into his base to do additional damage. Pulling all the way down. Viking's going to catch it, and yeah, this is one dead Banshee. Unfortunately for him, no fancy maneuvering whatsoever is going to work. One more shot and few more Vikings coming down. So even if this one Viking wasn't enough of a hero, those little buddies of his would be. And look at this right over here. Nice little expansion hiding from Naama. Very interested. You know, I think the thing to note about this is that this is probably one of the last places that Kaz is going to check. When he continues to expand, he's likely to push into this high yield and then over here. And it isn't really until a much later game that he would move in this direction. So unless he moves out with some scouting, and it looks like he is moving out with scouting Vikings, he could very well see this expansion. If he turns right and heads in that direction, he will catch the expansion. Obviously, these Vikings are looking for Banshees right now, and where is he going? He's going in the right direction. I think he's going to catch that expansion. Very unfortunate for Naama. Inside of his base, another starport up, pumping out double medevacs. We also have double Marines coming down, and what? No way. Kaz completely missing the expansion. Holy crap, please don't. If you actually missed that, that would be very unfortunate. I think he might catch a glimpse of it here, though. Does he? No, he doesn't. Kaz has no idea that this expansion is up. Wow, that is a complete stroke of luck from Naama. He could not have gotten any luckier. Kaz could not have been any closer without actually seeing that expansion. I am fully surprised, and like I said, in moving for his next expansion, Kaz is just going to this high yield. He's not going to be checking this anytime soon. That is unbelievable that he didn't end up catching that in that scouting route. I am thoroughly surprised right there. Now, inside of the base right now of Naama, again, just keeping up production. We have a couple of Marauders on the way. Basically Marine heavy. Would like to see that combat shield come out as well. That, of course, will help. And here we go, that general unit mix of tanks and Vikings. Actually, does he have many Vikings right now, or am I just full of shit? Tanks and medevacs is what he's going for. Now, the general idea, of course, is that with the tank Viking mix, it gives your tank that advantage over your opponent's tanks. Now, at the moment, Kaz isn't sitting on many tanks. He does have one coming out. Does he even have any on the board right now? He does have a couple on the board right now, actually moving in this direction. They do have siege mode up as well, and with the medevacs getting vision to the high ground, it would allow him to pick off some buildings. But Naama, of course, with this proper building placement, having it far away from the edge to prevent things like this from happening and being effective. But Marines are going to be moving forward, and he does have stim pack as well. Yes, he does. Now, moving forward, SCVs to repair that tank if it does take any damage, but no, the Marines are pushed back at this moment, and at the same time we are seeing some Vikings drop down here at the expansion of Naama. Going to be doing a little bit of damage, getting right on the edge, trying to kill any SCVs as much as possible. Tank moving forward, taking advantage, but taking advantage of the vision right there. A nice scan going down, going to get a couple shots off on that tank, but not before it unsieges and moves. So that's very close. Both players could have lost a lot right there, but excellent maneuvering by Kaz. Kaz at this point clearly at the disadvantage with tank numbers, sitting over here with just these two, and we do have 5 in the main base of Naama. Now, at this point, Kaz looks like he's positioning right outside of Naama's base. Now, again, he doesn't know about this expansion. Kaz is unaware of Naama's expansion over here, and he's in fact checking for his third because he assumes he should be on a third by now. And I'm surprised. I wonder if this is going to be a telling enough sign for him to go ahead and check up in that corner. Although I think he thinks that he did check, but he clearly didn't. check enough because, again, just out of the range of catching that right there. So, again, very unfortunate. We do have one Marine over here for Naama. It's going to get dropped by these upgraded Marines over here. Combat shield, and yep, does end up getting dropped. We do have that +1 upgrade there for Kaz's units. Naama doesn't have, does he have it for the, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have that upgrade for his bio units himself. So that's, again, a fortunate situation for him. And I'm really, again, this fucking sneaky, sorry for swearing, but this sneaky expansion over here is absolutely nuts. Getting a missile turret placement over here. Again, just no idea that he's building right next to his opponent. Now, a big issue right now is look at what Kaz is doing. Kaz has a nice contain right now on Naama. It's going to be difficult for him to push. He's going to need that air dominance with those Vikings to allow him to push out onto Kaz's tanks. The other option, of course, is going to be dropping if he can use some medevacs to do some dropping and do some harassment. And that is exactly what we're seeing right now. Even though contained, Naama is going to be moving down to do some dropping. His goal is going to be to hit the economy. And we're seeing a lift up of these tanks ongoing into mode, but pushing forward. Very dangerous position right there. And yes, not wanting to walk into those tanks. And there's that drop on the high ground tank, so fully utilizing the ledge right here and going to be shelling out damage on this command center, changing into an orbital command. I'm changing into a planetary fortress to try to prevent any bio units from doing any harassing. Obviously, that's not going to stop the tank very well, but killing off a lot of SCVs. This is actually pretty big right now for Naama. We do have a turret going up over here, and still, I don't think Kaz is aware of that expansion. That is effing hilarious. So drop going down, doing as much damage as possible. There's that planetary fortress just about finished right now. And is it going to finish and take this out? Yes, it's probably going to take a couple shots. Want to see him lift up the units. Naama, pick them up and get away. That is what you want to do. There we go. And what the F is going on? How does Kaz still not know about this expansion, guys? I am dying right now. This is unbelievable. Tank being set up right now, preventing any bio units from dropping, although it looks like the bio units would have a safe position over here, and they could actually do some damage to these, although I think they would still be within range of that planetary fortress, so that's obviously not the best scenario in the world. And finally, Kaz finds his expansion. He must be like, what the F? How long has this been there? How big of a blunder was that? And that, in fact, was quite a big blunder for Kaz, and not seeing that earlier. Trying to reinforce right now, stimming down, moving some units, also going to be engaging with those SCVs, and he might actually take this. He does have a lot of SCVs right now, distracting fire, providing additional damage as well. SCVs getting us around, and it looks like Naama does manage to defend this expansion. He is clearly now, at this point, that Kaz knows this is here. He's not going to be able to keep this up for very long. It's going to be very difficult to defend this, and the last threatening unit there in that Marine does get dropped. Medevac's going to be shipping home right now. Marauders taking out what's left of this missile turret. We do still have this contain right now, though, and again, unfortunately, Naama has not been able to break it. He needs that air dominance. He needs to push in. Now, how many tanks do we have over here? 4 tanks sitting right outside of Naama's base, and that's what Kaz has. But we do see that the heavier tank numbers for Naama. So if he can get that vision, if he can creep his tanks forward, that's really what's going to provide him and allow him to push out of here, lifting up the orbital command. And where is he putting it? It looks like he's going to be going to that island expansion over there. And what do we have? Another drop going down from Naama. Again, when you're contained, this is precisely what you need to do. Kaz finally bringing up enough forces to take out this expansion, and I wouldn't be surprised if Naama tries to float it, and yes, it is. He's going to be trying to move this expansion to the island over here. Obviously, though, with the medevacs, it wouldn't be that beneficial for him. And where is that drop? Drop's going to be going down over here. Now, with this sensor tower, excellent placement by Kaz. He's going to be aware of this drop before it hits his base. So depending on what units he brings down to, I don't know, Kaz is in a really good position right now with his contain. The fact that Naama let himself be contained here is really unfortunate. It's going to be very difficult for him to push out from this, but most of the forces for Kaz are leaving his base, and that might make this drop a little more effective. Seeing the drop coming with that sensor tower, rerouting his forces back to his base, stimming up, and here comes that drop. Going to be doing as much economic damage as possible, trying to kill as many SCVs as possible. Stim pack, please go down. Losing the medevac, very unfortunate. There's the stim, trying to take out as many SCVs as he can, but not enough damage was done. Marine reinforcements are finally here and going to mop up this drop, so that drop wasn't quite as effective as Naama would have liked it to be. But we do still have this drop up here on the high ground for Naama, and it's going to be, again, preventing some more mining here from this expansion. So, been doing a good job of returning the harassment. Naama is doing excellent work right now. It's preventing mining from this half of the expansion. That is really solid play right there. And actually, at the moment, his tank is out of the range of these tanks. So, even with the vision that Kaz is getting on the high ground, he needs to move these tanks if he's actually going to try to do anything with it. Might be losing the medevac right there. Naama definitely definitely does not want that to happen. Moving forward, is able to get out of there before taking too much damage. And look at this, Kaz has this expansion up here, but Naama with these units is going to start attacking it, or maybe they're just going to go on a little coffee break and try and do a drop of his own, but losing the medevac, and only one Marine is remaining. These SCVs alone should be enough to actually take that out, and there we go, going to be pushing forward to engage. The problem again right now for Naama is this contain that he has to deal with, and this drop still, freaking guys, it's not time for a coffee break. It's not time for you to talk about your lives. There you go. Kill this expansion, but no, he's probably not going to be able to do enough damage to it. And in fact, we are seeing this drop come down to reinforce this planetary fortress, even though it's probably a little bit unnecessary. Didn't really need to do that. Might be losing the tank, though. That'd be a pretty big loss. Doesn't manage to pick it back up in time, so Kaz not paying quite enough attention, but that is because there was a big push going down over here. Naama breaking that contain, pushing out with everything he had, killing off all of those units, and that is really bad right now for Kaz. Kaz did lose so many units that he had dedicated to that contain, and we're going to be seeing a big push right now from Naama. Very, very dangerous situation at this point. Is he going to be pushing to the edge of his base, trying to kill off these production buildings? No, looks like, oh, okay, in fact, he is. So going to be sieging up a little bit over here, dropping some guys on the high ground, and trying to take out these units, but a big stim push coming down. It might be mopping up a lot of these forces. Tanks need to get in siege mode. Marines moving down, and they're going to be target firing those tanks, but the Marine fire shelling out on those tanks, losing a lot of units right now, and some reinforcements coming from this direction, but no, not doing any damage. In fact, just getting shelled without returning any fire whatsoever. Naama losing a lot of forces right there. Going to be picking up, dropping into the main. We are seeing some re-rallied forces as well for him. Marines moving down, taking out that one tank, taking advantage of the high ground to try to do as much damage as possible, but no, units getting dropped. Too many Marines and tanks right now for Naama to deal with, picking up what he has and wants to re-rally his forces back to the middle, and that was a big, big engagement between the two players. Naama did lose quite a lot there. In fact, trading blow for blow between these two players. Kaz losing so much in that contain, but when he pushed out there, he did lose a lot. Tanks going up, and this is not a good situation right now for Naama. He is going to lose a lot of units. Stim Marines going forward. Going to be target firing those tanks down very quickly. Only one tank remaining for Naama. Naama is in a terrible position at this point. Does have some re-rallied forces, but look at this heavy, heavy tank army right now for Kaz. Not quite enough at the moment. Naama does not have enough to deal with it. Doesn't even have this high yield taken as all. And even with this harassment that Kaz has been taking over here, he has still managed to mine quite a bit from the high yield, and that's really the big disadvantage. That contain that Naama was in lasted a little bit too long, and Naama does call. Good game. So nice game between these two players. It was definitely an interesting matchup. Again, we saw that big contain from Kaz, and Naama did what he can to try to counteract that, did what he could for dropping and harassment as much as possible, taking advantage of the high ground. Was excellent play by him, and unfortunately Kaz missing that expansion for quite some time. But the truth of the matter is that for Naama it wasn't enough, even with that economic advantage from getting this third up fast and having it being unseen for so long. He wasn't able to push into his high yield because that contain that put him too far behind, and we saw that big engagement where, you know, Naama was able to push out on Kaz's contain, but then unfortunately this positioning was awful for him. Too many tanks sieged up. His tanks weren't sieged up fast enough, and Naama lost quite a bit. So Kaz ended up being able to push out with a counterattack with all these tanks, and there was really nothing at that point that Naama could do about it. So good game between the two players. I do have another matchup between these two coming up right after this. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to it. And yeah, so as always, if you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel and keep watching, keep owning. Stalkers, that would be what I expect to see. And here we go right now. 3 Stalkers and a Zealot being warped in very dangerous position right now for Hapro. Hapro is going to be taking a lot of damage right now. What does he have coming out? He does have 9 Roaches coming out, so we're going to need to see a lot more Stalkers in order to deal with this. And what in the F are those Zealots doing? Please do some damage. You're not being harassed right now. Zealots, please attack or something. Staying back and probably waiting for the Roaches to engage and then pushing forward. And yes, that is exactly what he was doing. So now the Roaches are there, going to be pulling forward with the Zealots, but no pulling them back as the Roaches retreat. We are seeing some more Stalkers being warped in. Any sentries as well? No, just going to be sticking with Zealot Stalker at the moment. Some more Zealots, and very, very Zealot heavy. A little surprised considering the amount of Roaches, though. I guess he's hoping to be able to pin the Roaches as they try to push close to allow mining at this expansion. But, I mean, at this main base. But Zealots pushing forward. Roaches going to be microing back, taking a few too many shots there from the Zealots. Did drop and lose a few of those Roaches. Zergling's moving forward, trying to get surrounded. That's going to cause those Zealots to retreat. And we're going to be seeing some more warp-ins. Yes, we are 3 more Zealots being warped in right now, but there are a lot of Roaches at the time being too many roaches at this point, and actually lifting up guys into the War Prism. But the War Prism is getting dropped from this queen, and is it going to die? No, but the surround goes down. Manages to just barely lift up these 3 stalkers and get away with that. So good job by barely escaping there. But a huge problem at the moment is the fact that he really didn't kill. Obviously, there was a ton of harassing going on, but he didn't even kill any of these buildings. Spawning pool is still up. Extractor didn't even get dropped. And here we go. We're going to see a continuation of this harassment right now. We do have an Immortal.